Yeah, you read that title correctly. And no, it's not clickbait. I cannot lift for the next 6 months. The people who prey on my downfall are going to have a field day with this video, because a couple vlogs ago, the thumbnail on one of my videos is literally me saying, 2025 is mine! And then a couple videos later, I'm saying, hey guys, I'm cooked. Let me explain everything. So, 2 years ago, I'm visiting my best friend Taylor in Florida. And of course, I wasn't skipping the gym just because I'm seeing my friend, as y'all saw in my previous Florida vacation vlog from this summer. Go watch that if you haven't. It's one of my best ones. Shameless plug. Anyways, 2 years ago, I'm at that same Munch Fitness and I'm hitting a little shoulder and arm day. Doing a little shoulder press. Next thing I know it, I'm like, boom, my left shoulder pops out, drops. I hear like a crack and a pop, and it felt like it dislocated out of its socket and just went right back in. And I'm like, whoa! I'm looking around because I'm like, what the f just happened? And one of the Munch Fitness workers rushed over and was like, oh my god, are you okay? And I was like, you saw that shit? And I'm literally so fine. I'm literally chilling. Proceeded to finish the rest of my workout because I'm not letting a little shoulder snack crackle pop get in the way of my gains, and it went back into place, didn't it? So everything must be fine, right? Right? Wrong! For the next 2 weeks, that shit was so uncomfortable, and the pain wasn't super prominent. My shoulder just constantly felt like it was out of place and a little bit loose in the socket. But after those couple weeks, the pain stopped and I was like, wait a second, I'm fine. I was raised to basically just rub some dirt in it. Like, bro, when I used to play softball, I got a pitch to the throat. Stop breathing for like 5-10 seconds. Scary as hell. But I was like, wait, I can breathe now. Put me back in, coach. Like, I'm always gonna try to push through it and pretend like it's not a problem. So pain stopped, but that loose in the socket sensation never did. But again, since there was no pain, I was like, wait, I'm literally okay. I just assumed that it would fix itself over time. Even though when I did Google searches for what I possibly had and it said torn labrum and it said there's no way to recover other than surgery, I was like, no, that's not even what I have. I'm fine because I can do all my lifts. Like, I was still lifting heavy and it wasn't causing pain, so I was like, it's fine. So since then, obviously, I've pretended it was not a problem. But in the past year, I've had a couple of flare-ups and instances where I was like, ooh, this might be a problem. Like when I did rear delt flies, sometimes it would get a little bit irritated and my left shoulder would be like, remember me? Remember what you did? And I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna stop doing rear delt flies. And I remember I talked to one of the older guys in my old gym about it because he had some shoulder problems and he was like, yeah, you should not play about shoulder stuff. You should get that checked out. And I was like, so what was my final straw for me to actually get my shoulder injury checked out? I was doing some skull crushers. I do a slight little incline on the bench. I'm getting set up. Next thing I know it, the bench just collapses under me. Not only did I feel fat as hell, but the position that my arms were in, it made my shoulders drop and it just re-agitated that injury and I was fucking livid. So I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I need to get this checked out. Because I had brought it up to my parents a couple of times and they were like, oh, just do like shoulder exercises. I don't know why I'm doing that accent for them. And I'm not blaming them or anything. I'm just saying that like the way that my family is unless my arm was completely off and on the floor, I'm not going to the doctor. But I was like, Mom, I need to get this checked out. Even if it's nothing and they just send me to do physical therapy, shoulder exercises, at least I have the closure that it's just that. Like, I just can't keep living like this. So she was like, all right, you're right. It's been 2 years. So she books an appointment with our family friend who happens to be an orthopedic surgeon, and I got this checked out over my previous winter break. So he's checking me out and he's like, your left shoulder has completely shifted. Like, it's drooping. It migrated. It picked up and moved towns. Along with my entire left side of my back, my left shoulder blade, my whole scapula is just fucked. It got shifted. And so he concluded it's likely a labral tear, but we won't know how bad that is until you get an MRI. If it's bad, you're gonna need surgery. But if it's not bad, you can just do some physical therapy to retrain your scapula. So I'm like, okay, book me for PT. Let's retrain that scapula. Couple weeks later, I get the MRI. They put some ink into my shoulder, do the MRI, which by the way, I had to pry out my nose ring by hand so it didn't like rip out my nose. So my parents send over that copy of the MRI results, and I get home from doing cardio one night. It's like 9:30 p.m. and my mom and dad are on the couch, and my mom goes, "Nicole, sit down." And I was like, what is going on right now? Like, you can't just, what is happening? I don't even know she's talking about the surgery. It's just like there's a negative tone being bestowed onto me as soon as I walk into the house. I'm getting flashbacks of when I got caught with the Benjamin in high school. So I sit down and she reads out loud this string of texts to me that the doctor sent. "Hey Linda, looks like she has a pretty big labral tear. I know she doesn't want to do something about it, but honestly, it's in her best interest to get it addressed at some point. I think she could put it off until the end of school, but she should really limit any lifting that causes her shoulder to go out the back. Recovery is about a month in a sling, doing physical therapy and letting things heal until she's at the 3-month mark. Then we start strengthening, and I would say she'd be back to nearly full activity without restrictions by around 6 months. Obviously, between 3 and 6 months, she'll be doing rehab, but she could still work out her lower body and her core." Girl, we have to start hitting abs. Oh my God, I'm actually so mad. "I would really just limit her actual lifting and doing anything other than therapy for the next 10 weeks. Halfway through my mom reading that text out loud to me, I burst into tears. And I am not a big crier. I don't cry. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so fucking nonchalant. I don't even cry or nothing. Like, I literally feel nothing. I'm just not the type to cry. But I am sobbing. In my head, I'm like, my career is over. Everything I've worked so hard for the past 3 years, it is completely down the drain. I'm gonna fall off. I'm gonna have such bad body dysmorphia if I lose my muscle. Like, I am just like, what do I do? Because lifting is my life. Like, I know I'm not a competitive bodybuilder, but I live a bodybuilder lifestyle and I love going to the gym and I just love the overall lifestyle that I live. It's the only other thing that I love as a hobby other than content creation. And my content creation revolves around my lifting, fitness, nutrition, bodybuilder life. And you're telling me, yeah, you can't actually do that shit for half a year. And I know that you guys follow me for more than just my lifts and my physique, but arguably they're a big part of my niche. And I don't just do it for the content creation. Like I said, I love to do this shit. So it's just like, hey, no, you can't do this for the majority of the year. I fully crashed out. But after I got all my emotions out of my system, I immediately reached out to a bunch of my bodybuilder friends and I explained my situation because I wanted their 2 cents. I wanted to hear what people had to say about what the hell I should expect. Because obviously I need to make a plan. Just because I can't lift for 6 months doesn't mean I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm actually just gonna go back to my old lifestyle. No more fitness for me. I'm done. Like, no, we need a new game plan. The overall goal has now shifted from muscle gain to muscle preservation while I recover from surgery. But on the fitness side of things, the main things I was told were I shouldn't be too worried about muscle loss and to also not take my current cutting phase through surgery or through the recovery process. Like, I can't be cutting weight while I'm recovering. And if you're new here, I was in the middle or like towards the end of my cutting phase, but I still wanted to lose like 10 more pounds. So I had to make the decision of, do I maintain the muscle that I have right now and then just maintain throughout surgery recovery to preserve as much muscle as possible? Or do I keep cutting until surgery so I'm at a leaner body fat percentage, but then I also risk losing some muscle while I cut and then losing muscle throughout the recovery process? And my mind is just going in circles on what the hell to do from the time of finding out that I need surgery to the actual surgery. And I was bouncing back and forth for like 2 weeks or so. And I decided to just up my calories to a slight deficit. So I was still losing a little bit of fat, but also had a little bit more food in my system to preserve more muscle or just like be more likely to preserve more muscle. So I got kind of the best of both worlds and I already like where my physique is at. So it's not like, oh no, I'm literally fat AF and I'm not gonna make any progress. And then as for the content side of things, I think y'all are in for a treat, because when I am given a plethora of lemons in my life, I'm making lemonade. And then I'm having a lemonade stand. Like, you are not gonna give me mental turmoil and I let it be turmoil. I refuse to let something negatively affect me, even if it is negative. So, content side of things. Going to be documenting my full recovery, obviously. But on top of that, since I can't be lifting, it gives me so much more time to explore other hobbies. And I want to be a Michelin level anabolic chef. And with me upping my calories to maintenance during my recovery phase so I can preserve my physique as best as possible will allow me to eat more calorically dense anabolic dishes, and I can learn how to cook. Like, I'm gonna be doing all these side tasks that I might have not done if I wasn't lifting, and I'm going to take it as an opportunity to explore other hobbies. But like I said earlier, that doesn't mean I'm like, yeah, no, I actually give up on bodybuilding and fitness. Like, no, the goal has just shifted to muscle preservation and I cannot lift. So I have extra time. But when I'm able to lift again, I'm going to resume the current lifestyle that I live, and I'm still going to live that lifestyle to the best of my ability while I recover from surgery. So now that I have all that lore out of the way, I can start to explain to y'all my game plan. And I have been keeping this under wraps for a while. I learned this information on January 8th, which means that vlog I posted saying 2025 is mine, I already knew that I couldn't lift for 6 months because my success does not revolve around me being able to hit upper body. Like, obviously it is a main contender in what I do, but I told y'all I'm making lemonade. I fully believe the recovery series will be a great resource for people who get injured, and I think that the free time that I have will be a great source of entertainment for y'all and me. Like, I can start playing Fortnite again. So those of y'all preying on my downfall, like, yeah, you can go send this around being like, oh my god, Loony is literally gonna lose all her muscle and she's gonna get fat again and I hate her. But y'all gonna be extra mad at the end of the year when I'm reaping the benefits at my lemonade stand with the lemons I was given and the lemonade I made out of them. But now the rest of this video is just gonna be a full day of eating on a cut while I drop some details about my game plan on what I'm doing until the surgery, which I'm getting on March 10th. It's currently February 20th. How many days until March 10th?
It's 18 days until then.
So for the next 18 days, I'm cutting, and then we're ending the cut. And I'm dropping my calories back to less than 2K, and I up my steps to 20K. Last vlog, I told you I hit a low weigh-in of 143.2. The other day, I hit a new low of 141.2. So right now, the goal for the next 18 days, I just want to get under 140 pounds, and I will be content, because I really like where my physique is at. But we're still gonna cut for the next 18 days, because I literally cannot cut after I get my surgery, so I just want to lose a little bit more fat before I don't have any choice but to maintain my physique. You know what I'm saying? But now let's get actually started with the full day of eating and the rest of my day. All right, I've been up since like 9:30, and immediately when I wake up, I have my electrolytes. Also added my creatine in there because I literally just chug this down. And now I'm putting some carbs in me. I just prepped these cotton candy grapes, which is just me washing them. And I got 220 grams that I'm gonna eat right now. But check me out. Oh, wait, y'all don't do it like me. Oh, anyways, like I said in last vlog, I like to have fruit as my pre-workout carbs if I'm not craving anything in the morning, because it's just a nutritious form of carbs as opposed to having something like cereal. Then for pre-workout, since I'm hitting legs, we're gonna do high stim. I'm going with 2 scoops of the high stim V1 Panda collab. The usual high stim I go with is V1 Ultimate. This is fire. And you can use code LOON at checkout at V1 to save 15%. Boom, boom. Now I'm gonna inhale these grapes, inhale my pre. Still can't walk to the gym, chat. 20 degrees feels like 2. I cannot deal with living in State College anymore. This is why I'm moving to Florida when I graduate, because what the hell. Assembled into my Uprising code LOON fit to keep me warm, and completed the look with a nose strip, which just helps me breathe better throughout my lift and cardio. Now, the good thing about this surgery is it doesn't stop me from hitting legs. Never thought I would utter that phrase, but at least I'll have the means to keep some of my mass. And I can't hack squat, obviously, or squat squat at all, but I can sub in bodyweight sissy squats until I can squat again. Then hamstring curls and leg extensions, I'll just have to do a lightweight with high reps because I won't be able to stabilize myself with my arms like I'm doing for the heavy sets in these clips. But simply being able to take my legs to failure enough times a week should help me maintain my overall muscle mass in my legs. Also, if you want to see my in-depth leg day, these vlogs all cover that. I feel like it would be a waste of everyone's time if I repeated myself once again. But I finished up my lifts and did a very low-key Zeke update because the gym was packed, but it's been cool to see some more definition in my legs as I lean out, even though it's nothing crazy. Then I always finish up with incline tread, and I make sure to get at least 2 miles on a 7 incline, but I always end up doing more if I'm able to. And as you can see, those green grapes did their damn thing for me. Back from the gym, and I am having my first meal of the day. This is a very small meal, but it's 5 ounces of salmon, raw salmon. If you remember last vlog, I said I was craving sashimi, and I got sashimi, but that craving never actually went away. I was craving raw salmon every single day, and I was going to Wegmans and spending $20 on sashimi every other day. And there's no places that sell sushi grade salmon, so that was my only option until I did some digging, and I bought 12 5-ounce salmon fillets in bulk for 70 bucks, got it shipped to my place. So now I just have raw sushi grade salmon on demand. It feels so good to be like severely addicted to something healthy instead of a McDonald's 10 count or Five Guys burger with regular fry. Like, I think that raw salmon in general is a top 3 food of all time. And it's really unfortunate that I hate smoked salmon. I hate the taste of smoked things. Now, I went a little crazy on cardio. I'm at 12,575 steps. After I finish this salmon, if I don't get hungry, I'm just gonna bang out the rest of that 7,500 that I need just to get it over with. But the reason I'm able to go so long without eating and just having my pre-workout carbs and caffeine is because I save my eating window from as soon as I get home from the gym to 1 to 3 hours before I go to bed. And I touched on this in the last vlog, but I get most of my cravings at night because I am doing stuff all throughout the day, and nighttime is when I settle down and I can actually enjoy my food and not just eat to function. And even though it's not optimal to eat an hour before bed, especially like a big bulk of your calories, I feel like I would end up doing that anyway, but I'd be binge eating on top of my normal calories for the day. And I know that because I know myself. So yeah, while it's not optimal to have all my calories in one sitting before I go to bed, I know I'm gonna wanna do that anyway. And when I'm in state college, I literally have nothing to do, don't really have any distractions. And so I've found for myself that it's harder for me to get rid of the night eating completely, at least while I'm here, than to just manage it. And how I manage it is by intermittent fasting until I get home from the gym. And since I eat so late, that food doesn't all get digested like while I'm asleep. So I wake up with no appetite. All I really need to do is hydrate. I have a lot of water and I have my caffeine, and that has been holding me over, and that has been a really big help in me not binge eating. And I still get a healthy amount of sleep every night. I would say 95% of the time. So I'm just gonna do that, even though maybe I'm not getting that deep of a REM sleep because I eat like 1,000 calories in one sitting an hour before bed. But I think that I would just do that anyway, like I said, and I've noticed no problems. Y'all just saw me thug out a really intense treadmill session. I do that most of the time. I feel good doing it. That's what I do. But like I said, I'm gonna munch on this. Future editing, Nicole, do your thing. Girl, I just did a voiceover, but scarfed down the rest of that salmon and hopped on my walking pad to get the rest of my steps in. And I banged out some schoolwork and editing, but past me, I'm sending it back to you, actually. Explain the details in the next clip. Thank you. Currently having my next meal, which is my nutrient slop bowl. OGs know. 160 grams of 96% lean beef, 2 pasture-raised eggs, 53 grams of fat-free cheese, 46 grams of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, and a bag of Quest chips. And then we got diet cream soda on the side. Between the last clip and this clip, I grinded out the rest of my steps, so much to the point that I actually lost track of what the hell was going on and went way over my step goal. Anyways, while I was stepping on my walking pad, I just immediately got into editing the first clip of this vlog. So I'm basically breaking the fourth wall because y'all want quicker uploads. I'm working towards those quicker uploads. But I realized in the first clip, I didn't fully touch on my game plan for recovery. And I'll be talking about that way more in depth when it's actually happening, like once I get the surgery and I'm actively in recovery. But what I know right now is I'm going to be increasing my calories back to maintenance, eating 160 grams of protein. I kind of touched on that in the first clip. This is the most optimal thing to do with my diet to ensure the most success for preserving muscle mass when my shit is in a sling. For the first 10 weeks after my surgery, I cannot really do much with my left shoulder. And the first 4 of those 10 weeks, I'm gonna be rocking the sling. But I'll be able to take out my arm, you know, move my elbow. Not that, I can't do that. But I'm going to be able to take it out. Like, I'm not gonna be fully immobile. And after the first week, I'll be able to take out my arm from the sling a lot more. And so because of that, I shouldn't lose an absurd amount of muscle considering I'm not on bed rest. And like I said, I'm not gonna be completely immobile. My left side isn't just gonna be stationary for a week, a month, whatever.
And as it turns out, just walking around is actually quite a lot better at preventing muscle loss than lying in bed all day, even if you aren't actually lifting weights. This was evidenced in a recent study from Huang and colleagues, where they took 20 subjects with at least 1 year of training experience and had them stop lifting altogether for 2 weeks, but still carry out their regular daily activities. And this time, as you can see in the graph, there actually was no significant drop-off in muscle mass after 2 weeks of detraining. So this study and other similar research tells us that you probably won't see noticeable muscle loss within 2 weeks of detraining, as long as you're bothering to get up and get dressed.
But I can't really provide more detail than that because it hasn't happened yet. I have no idea what my body is going to be like during the healing process, so I can't speak on what the hell I'll be doing in 3 weeks. But in those first 10 weeks, I'm basically gonna be learning how to use my left arm again. And the months preceding those 10 weeks will be for getting my strength back overall. Not to where it is now, but just building my strength back to average, I would assume. This is what my doctor told me, but what that entails, I literally have no clue. All I know is that the first 10 weeks are gonna suck. And then by month 6, I can get back into the gym how I am now, lifting heavy. That doesn't mean that I'll be back at my normal strength that I have right now, 6 months from surgery. I think that just means that I can just go ball out in the gym and not have to worry about my shoulder falling off. That's what I assume. And I'd rather assume the worst and be pleasantly surprised than the opposite. The thing is though, keeping muscle mass is significantly easier than gaining muscle mass. Your body wants to hold on to that muscle mass more than it wants to get rid of it. So I shouldn't need much volume to preserve the muscle that I have after those 10 weeks. Because after those 10 weeks, I can kind of do light exercises, maybe some high reps, low weight to just take the muscles to failure.
Even reducing training volume all the way down to 1/9 of what you were doing before was enough to maintain muscle mass on average for 32 weeks. That's over 7 months. So this is quite encouraging. It tells us that even low volume, quote, suboptimal workouts should be enough to keep most of your muscle hanging around for at least 6 or 7 months.
Even though doing the high reps isn't optimal, you know what also isn't optimal? Doing nothing at all and losing my muscle. So I guess what's really up in the air is how much muscle will I lose in those 10 weeks? Because after those 10 weeks, I have a pretty set plan on what I need to do to keep that muscle, but the 2.5 months, not sure what's gonna happen.
Based on 2 separate studies here, it seems that you could expect to lose up to half your gains if you take 2 months off.
Most of my friends told me not to worry about losing muscle, but like I said before, I'd rather expect the worst and then be pleasantly surprised. But that's why I'm gonna be vlogging the entire recovery process in full detail, everything going on, to not only show you guys where I'm at and when I'm gonna get back into being a sick fucking cunt and lifting heavy weights, but also to show other people with similar injuries what they can look to expect if they're getting the same surgery as me or something similar. And I just think it will be good content in general. When I was talking about free time earlier, that means more free time to make content. So I'm going to be putting my full effort into that recovery series, and I think that it's gonna be great because it's literally the only thing I have to do, and I'm gonna be fighting every single day to get back to where I was. Like, all I'm gonna want is to recover, so I just think that it's gonna be a great series and that you guys will like it, and I'm gonna be proud of it. And I haven't even started it yet, and I'm still just like, yeah, this is gonna be good. I feel like this video is all over the place, but you know, we ball. Honestly, I think that's the most I'm gonna touch on it in the rest of this video because I'm pretty much living in the present. I can't speak on the future. I won't know till it's happening. So there's no point in trying to over plan something unknown. So we're gonna take a time out on the shoulder talk, get back into the food talk. I talked about my nutrient slop bowl last vlog, but red meat, nutrient dense. Eggs, most nutrient dense food on the planet. Greek yogurt, good for you. Fat-free cheese, amazing macros. Amazing macros. But this meal is gonna bring me up to about 1,000 calories, 120 grams of protein. Only need 40 more grams of protein, and I have upwards of 950 calories to play with. Since my calorie goal is just anything under 2K. And this put me at most of my micronutrient goals. But just in case, I do take a multivitamin every day. The V1 multivitamin, obviously. I'll see y'all at the next meal. To no one's surprise, past me left this segment for future editing me, furthering my point that I am the backbone. But I ended off the night with my snacks as I usually do. Made myself a creamy, which definitely makes my neighbors concerned that there's a fighter jet that passes over for a couple minutes every night. But whoa, my God, look at that. 180 grams of frozen banana, 50 grams of V1 peanut butter cannoli protein code LOON, 10 grams of PB Fit, and 18 grams of natural peanut butter drizzled on top. This is one of my go-to recipes. It is so good. Then for my final snack, I was debating between a birthday cake Prime Bite code LOON to save 15% at Prime Bite. Sorry for all these shameless plugs, but it was either that with a little bit of peanut butter on top or a pint of Nick's Light ice cream, which was super difficult for me to choose. Maybe even harder than mentally preparing for my surgery, but I sided with my boy Nick because I had literally no fiber today and Nick's got me covered with that. Sorry, Prime Bite, I still love you. You know I love you. Don't be mad at me. Then these were my macros and calories for the day, along with my total steps. But past me, you gotta at least do the outro, bro. Alright, damn, I will. But only because I want to, not because you're being rude. Guys, I know it may seem bad, and it definitely sucks that I can't hit upper body for some time. Keyword though, some time. That's all it is. And I believe that mindset is everything. And I always want to remain positive, but also reasonable, because when you're too positive and it's not reasonable, then it's just cope. But listen, first off, my legs will be working just fine, knock on wood. I could still do cardio, and I can get enough training volume to, at the very least, keep most, if not all, of my muscle mass in my legs. Second, let's say Jeff is right and I lose half of my gains in those first 10 weeks. Actually, let's think absolute worst case scenario. Let's say I lose literally all of my muscle mass. Anything bad that happens is only going to make me work harder to get it back. Also, muscle memory, beautiful thing. It would not take me nearly as long to regain the muscle back as it did to gain the muscle in the first place. I, along with many other people that I've spoken to, actually every other person that I've spoken to on the subject, don't think that the atrophy will be that severe. But I'm saying even if it was, even if the worst case scenario happens, my ability to lift isn't taken from me forever. I will get back and I will continue to grow after. It's just a little bump in the road. I have been handed way too much shit in my life to even consider this to be my downfall. I had my brief crash out about falling off when I first heard the news, and then I immediately went into planning mode and how I could make the most of it. I refuse to take an L, but I will take these lemons and make the most refreshing lemonade. And I know I'm cracking jokes, but I'm serious. And even though this whole thing is objectively sucky, I went from 200 pounds to this physique. This is just another challenge in the entirety of my fitness journey, and I feel like I've already been through the worst of it. Obese, regressed 30 pounds from stress eating and binge eating. Now I got this surgery, literally just a bump in the road. I'm gonna come out stronger just like I did both those other times. So with all that being said, make sure you're subbed so you can see the entirety of that journey. I still got at least 2 vlogs dropping before the surgery, a little calm before the storm, if you will. But March 10th, I'm getting my own Grey's Anatomy episode, the start of the shoulder surgery. But thank you guys for supporting me. I don't think that anyone saw this YouTube video and is like, you might go into atrophy this year. I lost all my respect for you. I love y'all. It's gonna be a crazy year, and use code LOON at your local radiology clinic. I'll see y'all in the next one.